out of my misery. Fill me with lemon trees, squeeze till only rinds pollute me. Inhale, air stale, the world still spins when I turn frail. Stay still, stable, my skin is turning cold and pale. Deep raspberry, rotting sweetly. Purple, dusty, branches rusty. Let go, I know the water washes far below. The train flows vertical to the city that we barely know. Pine trees find me underneath the autumn geese. Not so likely to love someone and leave them be.
In global news, in Israel on Wednesday, wildfires sparked during the Yom HaAtzmaut celebrations near Jerusalem have prompted evacuations, road closures, and a national emergency declaration, with firefighters struggling against high winds and dry conditions. This is being described as possibly the largest in the country's history, with around 120 teams and 12 firefighting aircraft deployed. Quote, officers from the Jerusalem district arrested a resident of East Jerusalem who was caught in the act of attempting to set fire to a field in the southern part of the city, police spokesperson unit said in a statement on Wednesday. In national news, in her first major public speech since leaving office, former Vice President Kamala Harris sharply criticized President Donald Trump's first 100 days in his renewed presidency, denouncing what she calls a, quote, wholesale abandonment of America's highest ideals. Speaking at a women's political event in San Francisco, Harris condemned Trump's tactics of fear and chaos, asserting that these were deliberate strategies to rapidly implement a conservative policy blueprint, Project 2025, to intend to reshape the government. Her speech marked a political reemergence on the stage. In local news, the visas of 13 international UMass students that were revoked by the federal government have now been restored. The university stated that, quote, the Office of Global Affairs and other offices are working with each other and the 13 students on a case-by-case basis to advise on the next steps. I'm Shira, and this is news.
Hello and welcome to the news segment Rail Trail Review, where we talk about the history and oddities along the Manhan Rail Trail. This week we spoke to Craig Della Penna, an award-winning writer and public speaker, about the history of the trail. Typical of many New England towns, Northampton was a factory town with a large number of mills that provided steady and well-paying jobs for the residents. And where there's industry, railroads follow close behind.
The railroad ran from 1868 to 1969. 101 years. And there were about a dozen trains a day coming up the hill from Northampton. And so today, since the high water mark of railroad construction, World War I, which is about 300-ish thousand miles of track, we're now at around 105,000 miles of track.
Northampton's industrial base was so extensive that it was served by two competing railroads: New Haven's Canal Division and the Mount Tom branch of the Boston and Maine Railroad.
During World War I, the federal government nationalized the railroads because they weren't playing well in the sandbox. So the federal government nationalized the railroads. They took them over. And what they did was inventory everything the railroads own, including the land. The land is what's important.
By the late 1970s, however, the mills in Northampton area had gone mostly dormant due to changing factors like environmental regulations. At this point, the largest customer was the logging industry.
Coal is a big, easy thing for the railroads to carry, and it makes them a lot of money. When they switched that fuel at the VA hospital from coal to natural gas, the railroad no longer had a purpose to come up here.
By the late 1980s, traffic had gone down to under 500 cars per year. The rail conditions had gotten so bad that the train companies had to eventually file for abandonment.
So the railroad went away, and nobody knew what to do with it. If you have a dead railroad in your community and you don't convert it to a linear park, it then becomes a blight-causing device.
By 1994, the idea to convert all of the old trackage into a linear park or rail trail had taken hold. A local organization, Friends of the Manhan Rail Trail, had been created to help fund and advertise for the rail trail.
We've stood up 4 linear thinking land trusts, not conventional land trusts who buy rectangular things like forest or farmland. No, we buy linear thinking, little narrow strips of land. That we reassemble the corridor when the state didn't have the courage to do it. And one of them came on the market, one of the pieces of land, and got sold to someone that we know would be a Rail Trail person. She started building a house, let her watch her build her house, and then we knocked on her door and said, you know, you bought 1,000 feet of the dead railroad. We'd like to make it into a trail. She said, I'd love that idea.
Construction on the trail began in 2003. The grand opening was in June of 2004. Currently, the trail stretches from Williamsburg to Hadley and eventually through Boston.
And so we're at 63 miles open. Of that 97 miles in public protected status, 63 miles are open. We'll be at 75 miles by the end of this year.
Join us next week for our adventures on the Manhan Rail Trail.
We got it.
We got it.
Let's go back.
Hold on.
Welcome back to Hamtub. On this week, we'll be interviewing Mr. Derby and gym class students about what their favorite unit is and how gym class correlates to NHS athletics.
Y'all ready for this?
I'm Salem Derby. I am the physical education and wellness teacher, one of them, here at Northampton High School. I've been teaching here for 19 years. Physical education is a great class. I think it's an important class for people to take because we cover such a wide variety of different activities, and a lot of times when people specialize in sports, they only focus on that sport that they're doing and they don't get exposed to other forms of movement. And I think that's the beauty of physical education, is you get to do so many different activities, from pickleball and badminton to volleyball to ultimate frisbee to football to soccer to basketball. I mean, there's literally a multitude of activities that we do that get people moving in different ways. And when you move in different ways, you can generalize those movements into the sport that you really care about. And also in class, we learn about things like building muscle. We go on walks. Last semester, I was able to take my classes on hikes to Mount Tom, which was kind of new and really exciting. And you know, one of the amazing things about physical education class is the dynamics that happen within the classroom. So we have people that, you know, don't necessarily play team sports and don't know exactly what it means to be on a team. And we have people that are on teams that can hone their skills of being a good role model for people that aren't as good, lifting people up. Because a lot of times in our sports, we have a tendency to put people down if they make a mistake. And if you put somebody down when they're making a mistake, you're not going to help them get better, right? We need to create safe spaces where people can feel free to make mistakes and take risks so they can grow. And that's one of the cool things about PE, is it's kind of low stakes. We're not trying to get a championship. We're just there to have fun and to learn about how to be a functioning member of a team.
What I like about gym class is you get to try out a bunch of sports that you usually wouldn't play, and you just get to be outside and have a good time in between classes.
I love Mr. Derby's PE class. So they were playing football, and that's my favorite thing to do in there. I like having fun playing football with my friends. and Mr. Derby's great, and his PE class it's awesome.
I'm Gus Fry, and thank you for watching Hamped Up.
This week, the Student Union organized Northampton High School's first ever talent show. The performance is a new and exciting opportunity for students and teachers to perform their skills in front of the school. We talked to organizers and participants of the talent show to learn more.
We've been planning the talent show for a few months now. I met with some faculty and the principal to get it going, set up the space in the auditorium, and we're just trying to do it as a showcase for different people's talents.
I was talking to this guy, and he's not from Massachusetts, so he's never seen the trees in the fall before, and he's like, man, they're just a bunch of trees, they're boring. And I'm like, no, they're beautiful. And he's like, it's just a bunch of leaves, what could be so beautiful about them? I said, no man, you don't understand. They're unbelievable.
How did I think the talent show went? I think it went swimmingly. I think it went great. Everyone had great performances. It was really interesting to see the kind of broadness of NHS's skills and NHS's talents. I think I did great. I think everyone else did great. I don't know why the judges were so harsh to me and why they bullied me.
I had that act written down as comedy, but I didn't laugh.
It really freaking hurt my feelings.
My inspiration for the idea was that I wanted there to be a time, because I feel like we don't have many other times for people to show their talents, and I thought it would be not only a fun thing that teachers could bring their students to, but also something fun for kids who might not always be showing their talents to be able to show something that we don't normally get to see.
Thanks for tuning into the Schoolyard Scoop. Make sure you tune in next week to see what the scoop will be. I'm juggling two balls at once, and thanks for watching.
3 years ago, NHS applied for a Massachusetts Skills Capital Grant. Last fall, NHS received $186,000 to purchase new tools for the school's woodshop and engineering programs. The money needs to be spent by June 30th. This week, the Transcript investigates the grant program and what the money is being used for.
We found out about the grant through Bill Worley, the last principal, and the application process. First, we had to identify what the surrounding area needed for a vocational type room. So I had to contact a couple different woodworkers and people that worked in wood shops around here and have them write up a little something of support for the ideas that we had. And then Misha Begans wrote a lot of the actual words on the grant application, and it took about 1.5 years before we got the notification that we actually got the grant. We got a little bit over $186,000 for the grant, a substantial amount of money, enough to redo pretty much every major machine that we had. We got a whole bunch of new tables that have lockers in the bottom, so we have a lot more storage space and new table surfaces, and they all come with vices. We got better dust collection stuff coming in. That's going to help just keep everything cleaner. We got a new bandsaw, new sanders, new planer, which smooths the wood down, and this one can do a wider piece of wood, so we can do things like the size of a small tabletop could go through. 10 new lathes for the kids that are really into wood turning, and a whole bunch of new hand tools to replace the beat up stuff that we had. And really what we had before this was a shop that was pieced together over many, many years from used equipment that we were able to get or new equipment that we were able to get cheap. We're going to have the best wood shop in the state probably for a high school after we're done. So the new tools will be able to broaden out the types of projects that they'd be able to do. We'll be able to challenge kids with more interesting and more difficult projects.
So for my classes, robotics and engineering, we spent the grant money on 3 3D printers. They were about $1,500 each, and with everything else that goes along with them, came out to about $6,000 for those 2 classes. Before we got the 3D printers, we would have to build parts out of either cardboard or whatever other materials we could find and use. Now we can actually design and develop specific parts for projects. We can design them using CAD, computer-aided design software, bring them over to the 3D printer and actually have that piece created within the class.
If you are interested in learning to use these tools, sign up for an engineering, wood shop, or robotics course. Thank you for watching.
The Northampton Youth Commission, a mayoral advisory group of local teens, has long pushed to allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in city elections. Though the measure has passed city council several times, it remains stalled until the state legislature grants Northampton an exemption or changes the law.
We speak with the Youth Commission leaders, child psychologist Kate Fontaine, and students who oppose the measure to explore the debate.
In order to further their objective, the Northampton Youth Commission is currently working on the Empower Act with multiple other municipalities, which would essentially enable us to not have to file a homeland petition, and this would also allow undocumented immigrants to be able to vote in municipal elections, which is extremely pertinent given our current presidential administration. The Youth Commission's future plans for Vote 16 entail joining the state coalition and the national coalition, and so these are extremely vital groups that we have just joined, and we hope to do more work with them in the future. If you have any questions about hoping to join these groups, then please reach out to me, the vice chair, Halia, who is the leader of the Vote 16 subcommittee and the co-chair of Youth Commission, and Amelia Durbin, who is also the other co-chair.
So one of the first reasons that I think 16-year-olds should be able to vote is that a big part of being in school is learning how to do things that you're going to go out into the world to do to be a functioning member of society. And we like to have teenagers learn to do those things with support, like driving a car. And the same thing I think should be true for voting. You don't want to be thrust out into the world all by yourself in college and have to navigate all of that and also figure out how to vote, where to vote, how to register. So I think we should absolutely do that while our kids are still at home. In some ways, I think that having younger people vote is not going to sway elections in a super massive way because we're not adding a huge percentage of the population, but it is significant, and you never know when you're going to have an election that can be bumped by a group of voters. The Northampton Youth Commission has been amazing. I am so impressed every time they speak on the budget. I think they are more diplomatic than the adults in our government. I think they give me great hope for the future. And I really appreciate their ability to grapple with competing narratives and really do the research and have the open mind to find what they believe to be true.
Adolescence, at this stage of your cognitive development, you're in the fourth stage of cognitive development, which is something called the formal operational stage. And what that means is that you're capable of abstract thought and you're exploring really important ideas like what is justice, what does it mean to be fair, like the big question like why am I here to begin with, things about ideas of what love is. So if you're developmentally in a place where you're able to look at big abstract ideas, then understanding fairness and representation and democracy would fit into that.
Only time will tell whether the measure will pass. Thank you for watching.
Welcome to Pictionary. Today, our guests will compete in an intense game for an awesome and mysterious prize. Failure will not be tolerated.
Prizes are not guaranteed. Quality of prizes may vary. Northampton High School is not liable for any injuries or fatalities that may occur as a result of failure.
Pickle.
Leg.
D. Pants. Homeless person.
Baseball player.
Pickaxe miner.
Communist.
Steve. Coal.
Freak.
Tree. Lumberjack.
Melnick.
Wood. Terrible drawing, by the way.
Axe. Like,
Uh,
oh my gosh. Hunter.
Airplane.
Hunter. Hunting.
That's a okay. Fortnite.
Table. Classroom.
Bingo. I am a beast. Oh, that's so quirky.
It's okay.
YouTube. Play button. Guitar.
Computer.
Wii video. Mr. Whalen. Streamer. YouTuber.
Zoom.
The President. WTI. Dressed well. YouTube video. Podcast. Documentary.
President.
Show. Live stream. FaceTime. You're gonna have to give us more than this. Production.
Yeah. Transcript.
Tree. Stool. Art class. Mushroom. Fortnite. Minecraft. Fall Guys. Stumble
Tests.
Guys. Desk. Student. Test.
Phone
MCAS.
usage.
Reading. Library.
Reading.
Book.
Yeah, library.
English
book.
class.
Teacher. What am I doing? Librarian. Oh. Window, teacher. Can I keep up? Oh. Oh, like crossing guard? Like military police? Oh. Alright, wow. Some military nurse.
Terrible drawing. Oh, thanks. Thanks for that. Take it. Roblox.
I feel like you guys have guessed this one.
Oh, moon. Pickaxe.
Yeah. Which?
Satan. What is that? Minecraft.
Our winner today with 3 points is Sam, who wins 4 cents. Today's loser is Reese. Thanks for watching. Come back next week for another seat gripping competition.